Show up. Don't hide from life. You might think, wow, this sounds harsh. May we all be surprised by how special these words actually are. I'm Amanda Swanepoel from Bright Star Lifestyle. First things first, I want to say I'm so glad I showed up for this talk. And I want to thank and congratulate you. Sitting here and listening to this talk shows that you are also showing up. Many people are not showing up where they need to be. A lot of different organizational leaders are telling us that they are disappointed in some of their staff members. Many people gamble with their integrity by making excuses for not doing their work diligently and not being at the crucial meetings, not showing up for the teams. There's different reasons for that, but some people actually hide behind the pandemic for not contributing their responsibility to the team. Although we have a lot of sympathy with how people experience these tough times, we still need our teams to show up. Why aren't people showing up? There's different reasons. A very talented young woman told me this week, I want to stay in my house with my dogs at my feet, my husband and my children as conversation and as company, and I feel much safer being here than out in the world where people don't understand me and I certainly don't understand them. People don't want to face the challenges in the world. It just becomes, it's too much. Brene Brown says, the willingness to show up changes us. It makes us a little braver each time. We start feeling so guilty because there's so many things that we need to show up for. We need to show up for our families. We need to show up for our work and our colleagues. The one thing that's interesting is we kind of forget to also show up for ourselves. I am going to touch on the first two, the family and the work, but I'm going to use most of this talk to focus on showing up for yourself. If we need to show up for our families, we consider it rude when people invite you to a party and you don't arrive. But in reality, we are not arriving, showing up for a lot of the parties that we are invited to. When you have family, you are by nature invited to show up in their lives. Some of us attend the party by being there physically, but not really being there emotionally, not being part of the conversation. Show up for the party with your family. Show up for your loved ones. Create a safe environment where your family members can start to thrive. Dad, Mom, will you please be the leaders that you need to be and were intended to be? Show up for them to be able to show up in their own lives. Check in to the people that you love. Our children are having a hard time. We hear about suicides of young teens. Help them by being there for them and teaching them how to show up for their own lives. Maybe it's a good idea to organize a regular check-in for your family. My husband and I usually tell each other, this is going to be a tough week. Let's be soft on each other. Let's be soft on ourselves. Simon Sinek said, instead of showing up to let everyone know how great we are, show up to find out how great everyone else is. The second thing is we show up for our colleagues and our work. Steve Jobs said, I make 50 cents for showing up, and the other 50 cents is based on my performance. Jeffrey Fry, an author, said, the formula for success is 2% talent, 8% luck, and 90% showing up every day. Why did you start doing the job that you are doing now? Where is the passion now? Keep the flame alive. To show up and keep on showing up for your work, it helps to remind yourself why you started to show up in the beginning. Elizabeth Gilbert said, don't be daunted, just do your job. Continue to show up for your piece of it, whatever that might be. If your job is to dance, do your dance. Olé to you, just for having the sheer human love and stubbornness to keep on showing up. Jeff Olson, an author and entrepreneur, says showing up is essential. Showing up consistently is powerful. Showing up consistently with a positive outlook is even more powerful. Sometimes you show up for the people by not showing up. Our attitude can make or break any situation. So James Caan, an actor, said, showing up every day isn't enough. There are a lot of guys who show up every day who shouldn't have showed up at all. A very nice quote by the American female soccer player, Becky Sauerbrunn. She says, success doesn't motivate me as much as integrity does. Everyone loses. I enjoy the pressure of showing up every single day, being focused, putting forth my best effort, getting the best out of my teammates, and enjoying the journey. There are so many reasons why people are not showing up. One of them got me thinking, and I started looking into some research on how people react to trauma. If you look at the responses, there is 4 responses to trauma. The one is flight, then fight, freeze, or fawn. Now, if we look at fight, that is when people after or within a traumatic experience becomes a workaholic, an overthinker, experiencing anxiety and panic, and become OCD and have difficulty sitting still and become perfectionists. With the fight response, they get anger outbursts, they start controlling people, they are the bully, they behave narcissistically, and they have explosive behavior. The freeze reaction is very interesting. That is where people start having difficulty making decisions. They feel stuck. They experience dissociation. They feel detached from the environment. And they feel isolated and they feel numb. The fawn reaction is where people become people pleasers. They have a lack of identity. They have no boundaries. They feel overwhelmed and they start being codependent. All of these reactions are very interesting, and maybe you can see yourself in more than one of them. But for this moment, I want us to focus on the reaction of feeling numb. When you feel numb, you don't even realize that you are not showing up for your life. You just try to survive. We see a lot of people that are actually reacting with a numbness. We all experienced trauma in some way or another during the last 2 years. We experienced the loss of freedom, the loss of friendships maybe, or relationships. Maybe we experienced the loss of work and even the loss of the lives of loved ones. That definitely will leave us feeling a bit numb. I lost my dad recently, and after a few days into my own grieving time, I realized that nearly every person that shared their condolences with our family were actually battling their own struggles. And with every talk, I heard myself reciprocating the condolences. And then I realized we can actually all go into autopilot. We just react. We keep on going, but then we don't feel so much. Let's talk about showing up for yourself. When you sit in the airplane, the steward will always say you must put on your own mask before helping your children or other people. In life, this is just as important. Take care of yourself, then you will actually have something to share with others. You cannot be numb and honest at the same time. You will have to face the numbness by being honest with yourself. Then you can show up for yourself. Bernie Siegel, a retired pediatric surgeon, is an author of many books, and he focuses on the relationship between the patient and their healing process. Very interesting. He invited hundreds of patients, most of them cancer patients, to a group where they can share their experiences. He said to his secretary to clearly state that family and friends cannot join the group because they don't have enough seats for all the people. It will be hundreds of people. And then only 10 women showed up for this well-advertised group. People hide from their emotions. His comment that he was extra disappointed that the men did not show up. We see that after all the years that we say, please, men may cry, they still struggle to be honest with their emotions. But so many of us do. Remember, you cannot be honest with yourself if you are not honest about your emotions. You cannot be in two places at the same time. Some people live in the past and then they think they can also survive in the present and have hope for the future. Please deal with your negative experience in the past. Stop living with resentment so that you can start living life to the full and start showing up for yourself. Show up by facing the mirror. Nathan Crane is a health expert. He motivates people to take some time every time you brush your teeth. So that would be definitely 2 times a day minimum. You would look in the mirror for the 2 minutes that you're brushing and say to yourself, I love myself. I take responsibility for my health. I will be patient with myself. I will practice new habits and I will work patiently through a grieving process. And I won't give up. Nathan motivates us to stand with your hand like this and look yourself in the mirror and say these things. I love myself. I will take responsibility for my health. I will be patient with myself and I won't give up. Show up every day. I love it to see my mom, even if she do not have any meetings for the day, any appointments with anyone, she says she will wake up and dress nicely for the day, because even if it's not for someone else, it is for herself. Whilst showing up, why don't we do it with some flair? Arrive in your own story, discover your own uniqueness, show up for yourself. Showing up for yourself is actually a great tool as an antidepressant. I love this quote. Willam Bailey, she's an actor, says, showing up is like 90% of the battle, and just make sure your hair is really cute. I need to encourage you, show up at the doctor if you don't feel well. Show up to a mentor or a coach if you need a hand. Mike Iaconelli said, I'm unfinished, I'm unfixed. And the reality is that where God meets me, in the mess of my life, in the unfixedness, in the brokenness. I thought he did the opposite. He got rid of all that stuff. But if you read the Bible, if you look at it all, constantly he was showing up in people's lives at the worst possible time of their lives. Yesterday morning, I had a special aha moment when I realized, Moses showed up, Joshua showed up, Esther showed up, Nehemiah showed up, the disciples showed up, Paul showed up, so many more showed up. And what happened then? Because they showed up, God showed up. Jesus showed up. The Holy Spirit showed up. I have to go now. I need to show up for a few meetings today, for a few family members, as well as a friend or two. But for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to enjoy my cup of tea and I'm going to show up for me.